Shall we begin?
Here we are, part 2 of Beyond the Edits, episode 3. There was just so much, we had to break it up in 2 different parts, but we're covering 99 to Beat episode 2 right now, recapping it. Does that make sense to all of you guys?
Makes
Yes.
sense to me.
That's a mouthful, but we had to bring on Lucky Tori today to join us. Not only is she Lucky Tori, but she is also one of our best buddies from 99 to Beat. Welcome, Lucky Tori!
So nice to be here. I miss you guys so much. So this is bringing back so many memories.
Oh,
happy
we
to
had
be
so
here.
much fun on the show, and we miss you so much. And I'm just jealous that Aggie got to see you not that long ago. I'm definitely gonna have to make a trip out.
Our group all got to see each other, but you definitely have to come out to New York City soon. We'll take you to the best local places. We'll have a fun night out.
Yes, and you can always come to Kansas too. I know everybody's probably laughing. You know, everybody thinks we're just a flyover state here in Kansas, okay? But we can have a lot of fun, Tori.
I am down for it.
Okay, so we had part 1 that we covered. Just there was so much to unpack because Julian and Aggie were clearly the stars of the show, and there was so much going on, all right? But you've also been a star from the beginning of the show as well. Like, they've really highlighted you. It's been so much fun to
I know.
watch. And before we dive into everything, we just have to talk about how jealous we were of you. I had no idea in the balloon challenge at the beginning where we had to find our lays, how easy it was for you. Was it really that easy?
So my memory of it all, because it happens so quickly, right? And you hardly have any time to think. But as soon as that buzzer went off, my heart was pounding. I ran in and I started popping a few balloons. I don't even remember how many, probably just 1 or 2. And I realized anytime I would pop the balloon, I was right in the center where everybody else was. There was a bunch of confetti on the ground. And so I had no idea if I popped a lay out of the balloon or not. I genuinely couldn't tell. So I said, I got to do something differently. And so I grabbed as many balloons as I could hold in my hands, which were 2, and I ran to the side of the circle where nobody else was, where there wasn't any confetti on the ground, and where I knew nobody would have the opportunity to steal my lay if one popped out of it. And so the first one I popped, nothing came out of it. The second one, my eyes were widened as I came and saw that there was a huge lay on the ground. So I picked it up and I was cheering and celebrating. So I would say it happened relatively early where I got the lay. In total, I don't know how many balloons I popped, but it couldn't be more than, I would say, 5.
Well, that's a really smart strategy, which doesn't surprise me with you because I remember my first memory of you was we got to ride together from the airport to the hotel where we were going to be staying. And listening to you, I was a little intimidated. I have to be honest. I was like, oh my gosh, like this gal, she's sharp, man. She really thinks everything through. She has a strategy for almost everything. And then I found out you were on Beast Games, and I'm like, oh no, I might as well just go home now.
To test my luck because I did not do as well in Beast Games. It was a running competition that I got out in, and I used to run track and field in high school. So that was a little disappointing. I was disappointed in myself for not getting as far as I wanted to, but still great time. And then I went on 99 to Beat, and I wanted to test my luck out because, I win so many giveaways. And I was telling you guys all about it on our trip to
Yes.
London. My skincare, makeup, hair care. Like, I haven't bought toiletries in the past 4 years since I've been married because I win it all. And there's so much that I win that I will resell it online on different selling platforms as an extra side hustle. 2 days ago, I actually won a $350 Chewy gift card. So I got my cat a ton of treats. This week, I also won a $500 Amazon gift card. And I also won a $350 Soli the Label gift card, which is a clothing brand. So I don't pay for any
Oof.
clothing. I don't pay for jewelry, makeup, you name it, I've won it.
Wow.
Teach me your ways. I need to learn.
No,
My
no,
gosh. And
next
I'm a
time that the
shopaholic.
lottery's
I
a
need to know.
billion, please, Tori, get a lottery ticket,
Well,
okay?
I have a funny story about that. A couple years ago, when it reached the $1 billion, I played the Mega Million and the Powerball, and this is how close I was to winning. I did random numbers on one ticket, and I picked my own numbers for the other ticket. When the results came out, the numbers that I picked, um, all of them except one number was correct, but for the opposite game, meaning if I played both of my same numbers on both games, I would have won over $1,000,000. Yep.
Wow.
You
And
gotta
so
double down
I
next
haven't touched the lottery. So
Keep
mad.
playing, keep playing.
Yeah.
One day
Well
I will get it. It's all mentality.
well, I was so impressed with the strategy that you had for the balloon challenge and then the T-shirt challenge, okay? I was really impressed with Aggie had a great strategy for that. I'm just running I think Julian and I, we're just running and looking at shirts, man, and it was just luck for me, not so much luck for Julian. I mean, I guess he was luck, but it was just a little bit further down the line. But Aggie had a great strategy too, like, she's like, "Oh, I could just sift them out because some of them smelled like Plato's Closet."
I'm like, some of them were like, it smelled like a thrift store. So I just was like, some of them smelled like a new shirt, some of them smelled like a thrift store. And then people were throwing the shirts that did say their name, like to the perimeter. So I ended up just looking around the perimeter for the shirts that had names on them. And then
There
I got lucky.
there you go.
That's fun.
Yeah. Okay, but Tori, tell us a little bit about your experience with the T-shirt. Now we talked about you in part 1 with the
Mhm.
T-shirt challenge, but you didn't have as much luck. It took you a hot minute. We were a little nervous there on the sidelines for you.
I was so scared my luck was gonna run out during that game, but I remember coming up to you, Danny, right before the game started, and I said, "If you look in this huge pile of clothing, there's a lot of bright colored shirts that you can see all around, which were pink, green, red, light blue, and I think yellow was the 5th color. I
Mhm.
think there were 5 in total, if I'm not mistaken, and so I knew before the game started, those are the only colored shirts I'm looking for. I saw that there was a ref shirt on the top, all different random things, so I knew not to even bother looking at those clothes. So that was
Mhm.
my mindset going in. I felt good about myself, but before the episode started, you saw in the 2nd episode, I said my heart is pounding because it really was. I was very nervous. And when the buzzer went off, I started running and everyone was colliding into each other. So I kind of did what I did with the lay game. I grabbed a few of those shirts that I could find that looked like these, and I moved over to the side and I started looking one by one by one, and I couldn't find my name. I found a few other people's names. So I had to go back in the pile. And then I pulled out some more shirts and they weren't my name. And I think this game went on for at least over an hour.
Yep.
I was so exhausted physically, mentally. I
Yes.
mean, I had a first time workout class today, and I said to myself today that I am experiencing the same amount of exhaustion after that class as I did for this game. And so I noticed everyone is getting their shirts, and it was so hard too because we would pick up each other's shirts and we wouldn't be able to
Yes.
tell anyone that we
Yes.
had their shirts and we had to put it right back down. And I remember picking up Jake's shirt so many times, and he was at the bottom with me. I
Yeah.
think he
Oh, yeah.
came in 3rd, and he came right after me after I got my shirt. And so I kept picking up his name and I'm like, "Oh no, I need to buy myself more time. I need to make sure it's on top of other shirts, and it's gonna take longer for him to find his than it is for me to find mine." I wasn't doing anything sketchy, but I just wanted to make sure it blended in well with other shirts.
W
And I'm going around, and I see so many times I'm picking up shirts that say Aaron rocks, not this one, keep
Yes. Try again.
more and more and more frustrated. And what actually helped me, and I owe this to you guys, our Till the End squad, is I heard somebody yell out to me, go in a spiral because I would keep checking the same shirts, the same
Yep.
area, get disoriented. And I started in the outside and I started working my way in a spiral formation until I found my shirt and I couldn't believe it. I almost fell over. I really thought that was the end for
Wasn't
me.
it one of the greatest feelings of your life? Seriously, when you saw that.
It is. I mean, you go from your heart racing, the adrenaline pumping, to the
Yeah.
exhaustion, to picking up your shirt, and you feel the best feeling imaginable.
Yeah. Julian, when he picked up his, he was like, "Yeah!"
I
Yeah. I had
know.
to release a lot of energy after that one because
think
I didn't
I
even
think
hear
all of us
anybody
screamed too.
I didn't hear anybody telling me anything specifically other than "Go, go, go," it's just
I'm
screaming,
like
and so that's crazy that you could hear someone say, "Haley, spiral," 'cause I couldn't hear anyone say a darn
Forget who
thing.
said it. I wanna say maybe Tommy, and it was said when I was in the bottom 4, and
Yeah.
after I was like, "Okay, this is a new option for me to do." I felt like I tried everything, I exhausted all options, and at one point, I heard my name really loudly from Ken and Aaron, and I thought they were talking to me during the game. I thought I was doing something wrong or asking me a question, so I stop and I look up, and they're just looking at me like, keep playing," and I'm, "Sorry."
Like,
Well,
'cause it was so silent in there because it was practically like a silent game when we were all
that
in there
was.
playing.
Hey, dude,
Yeah.
Yeah.
if they had some music going, that would've been helpful, you know?
That would have been more motivating for sure. I mean,
That would've been motivating in a lot of games right
I
there.
just
Yeah,
I just
right.
heard my ears starting to ring. My ears were on fire, it felt like. I really thought it was gonna be the end for me. And what was really hard too, as you got further and further in the game, was it started with a big pile stack, and then the perimeter
Right.
just got bigger and bigger and
Yeah.
bigger, and you had so much radius to cover.
But I have to back up. When the very beginning, when you came over and told, I would have never even thought that. I would have just thought, well, just go through shirts. And I'm like, oh yeah, Tori, yeah. Like there's those bright colors that are solid. So
Yeah.
thanks to you, I started just looking for those right away. And I still took me a hot minute. I was, not in any, obviously in any real urgency like you and Julian. But it to Aggie and I were pretty close in that game, but it, took a hot minute. But thanks to you, that helped. And then also I didn't want to be sketchy either, but let me tell you, there's like an unhealthy competitiveness about me sometimes. And
Of
like I
course.
kept finding Luigi's shirt and I wanted to like I did leave it open. I have to say, I left his shirt wide open, but I wanted to go over and be like, oh, hey, over there. I mean, there's times you want to do that or
No.
yell out or hide someone's, but I'm like, no, you don't want that to come back and bite you. So no. So that challenge, it was really hard to play fair because I wanted to be like with my closest friends, here, I got it, and we couldn't do
Right.
that, but they did in the UK version.
I know. It got it they changed it up for our version where we weren't allowed to do that, probably to make it even more challenging.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
also
The
heard that
stakes were
people's
higher.
shirts were found inside out, and none of the shirts were placed inside out before the competition started. So some people it took them longer to find because their shirt was inside out and you can't see it right away.
Yeah.
Naughty.
So there might
Naughty.
have been some inside out Tuckers around there.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, that would have been interesting. We could have highlighted that. We saw Julian's shirt several times and he was walking all around it, wasn't getting it. And I'm like, oh crap, he's going to go out. And I just remember all you could do was just yell encouraging words to him. That's about it. And you guys just had us sweating. And it was just such a release. And it was like a party. And I'm so happy that they did show all of us together, jumping around, celebrating. And it was just such a relief and such a nice moment after that. I mean, you can't explain it to people. They have no idea watching this how stressful these silly challenges are. It is just beyond anything I've ever done. I don't know about Beast Games, but with Survivor, this is tougher mentally for a whole different reasons. But you just don't know people. So when you watch it, just try to step outside of your shoes and wear our shoes for a bit and know why we're so stressed out and crying and freaking out.
Exactly. I mean, I'm getting comments on my social media from people that are watching the show saying, "Oh, well, I go thrift shopping all the time. I think I would be really good at this challenge." And it's like, you don't know until you try it.
Yeah.
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 You don't know.
Exactly. Well, it's kinda like when I watched a roller coaster, I went with my son Stone, I watched, the Velocicoaster, I'm, like, watching it on, video of it on YouTube, I'm like, "Oh, I got this, yeah, that's really not that hard," and then I got on it, and it's like it took off and my soul was left behind me, Like, I mean, I feel like that in these challenges, "Oh, not so bad," and then when you get in it, you're like, "Oh my god, it's awful."
Mhm.
Oh,
But
anyway,
I think
oh,
that's
okay,
the
well
reason why we wanted to get on this show in the first place is we saw the UK version. We were like, "Hey,
yeah,
I could do this.
yeah.
I can make it pretty far in this game."
Mhm.
Well, the problem is Americans are freaking crazy, okay? And so they weren't gonna take the UK version and hand that to us. They're gonna take it up a few notches, which they
Absolutely.
did. Visually, I think things were so pretty on 99 to beat
Yeah.
our version because it's so colorful and fun, But the challenges, they just took them up so many more notches, and they were gonna do that for and, it's funny because I was talking to some of the production, and they said, "We were really excited that there was gonna be an American version of this because you guys are crazy. You guys talk trash and stuff. It's so much fun." I'm like, "Y'all don't talk trash in London? Like, what?" They're like, "No, no, no, we don't. Not like you guys." So anyway, it was kinda funny.
I do remember, Aggie, when I finally got my shirt and we were hugging, you told me that you saw my shirt at the end so many times, and it was so hard for you to not say anything because if you do, you'll get in trouble or I'll get in trouble, and the game could possibly go on even longer. And so it was so frustrating to know that my group saw it and there was nothing that they could do about it to help me.
Yes, that was so hard because I saw yours and I saw Julian's and I saw Luigi's so many times.
And I didn't see mine once until the
Yeah.
very
Yeah, we saw it once at the very end.
At the very end, yes.
Okay, so Tori, we had to do, as you know, like a two-part of the whole episode 2 of 99 to Beat because there was just so much of Aggie and Julian that were like, we have to break this down and we just can't do it in one episode. So, we wanted to save the balloon challenge. What was the official title of that challenge, you guys? The
So
rubber
that's the
band challenge.
Slingshot Balloon Challenge.
This could have been a whole episode by itself. I mean, like, they needed a whole special episode like the balloon challenge, and there's so much that people didn't see, but before we talk about it, um, Julian, you and I talked a little bit about this, like, the rules of the game beforehand, because I didn't remember, all of them, what they told us, but there were some specific rules about the challenge I think is a good be on the edit moment because a lot of people at home just don't understand, and they're wondering, "Why can't you do certain things?"
Yeah, so you can only, do 1 rubber band at a time. You couldn't throw a bunch of rubber bands at the balloon, um, and that was kinda the premise of the game, 1 rubber band at a time, shooting it, and you couldn't just chuck the rubber bands at the balloons to knock the balloon down. So it's pretty simple, concept of the game, and, you know, in the UK version, they were chucking rubber bands at
Yeah.
the balloons and knocking them down,
Mhm.
in which that is, that's a no-no in the US version, so
I was really hoping that we were able to do that because that would just make it so much easier, but I
Yes.
think because
Mhm.
the stakes were higher and, I mean, we were playing for $1,000,000, that was completely wiped off the table, and we were unable to do that, and we had to do it old school style.
Well, and
yeah,
it made it that much more dramatic,
yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
Yes.
and
Yeah, and might I add, I mean, with the dramatics, walking into that room, no AC. Can we talk about that?
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
it was super hot that day. Yeah, I forgot about that. That wasn't just because you guys were under the gun there at the end. It was literally just so hot, so stuffy, and no air movement at all. Like, they had big fans, and I feel like they had
They
yeah, but
didn't have them.
they weren't
feel
on
it.
or they weren't in there yet. There was one other challenge we had fans because they had to stop them because it was too much air. Mhm.
Yeah, they didn't have them on because that
Oh,
would
the
knock over the
balloons.
balloon.
Yes.
And
That's
once
why.
you what I noticed pretty quickly, there was a lot of, like, popping and bop, pop, pop, and, before the challenge even started. So, there was a popping, and I was like, "Okay, so what is really popping with all these balloons?" Well, to keep the balloon on the actual stand, there was a balloon within a balloon. So some would pop and you would hear it pop within that balloon. And then so some of the balloons were not weighed down as heavy as the others. And you could see it also by the color. Some were lighter, some were darker. So if the ones that were lighter, they only had one actual balloon within it, and the balloon had already popped and it was already off the stand, or it would come off the stand pretty easy if you knock it off with your rubber band. So some of them were a little bit easier to knock off the stand than others. And you could tell just by if you would have walked past it or a referee walked past it and a balloon would knock on the ground or something like that. And I know I had a balloon that still had the balloon within the balloon, so it took me quite a bit of times of me knocking the with my rubber band, and Aggie felt that one too with hers as well. That's why she's still dogging it towards the end.
Man. Yeah, what and
So
I don't think that they showed, Aggie, like, you did hit the balloon several
I hit it
times.
many,
Mhm.
many times, even not just at the end, but throughout the entire time. But we can rewind because I want to hear all of your guys' situations of how long it took you. So, I mean, starting with you, Tori, how long did it take you to knock over your balloon?
Well, Danny and I were right next to each other, and she worried me because she got hers very quickly off of her podium. And we even made a comment to each other because it took me a lot longer than it did for Danny. And I think you said, I wish I aimed towards your balloon, Tori, because they told us if you accidentally hit somebody else's balloon with um the rubber band, then that counts. That
Mhm.
person is safe and you gotta keep playing. So, Danny was so good at it. I was like, "I wish you did target my balloon with
Just shoot
that."
her butt first and then mine.
That would've helped my finger out greatly, but it took me a while, and I think same situation with you, Aggie, where you would hit it, but with our balloons being so heavy, it would tilt and it would look like it would come off, and then it would fall just right back into place. So, it took me a while, but I eventually got it. What
Were
about you
you in the
guys?
upper half?
Yeah, she
Um,
was.
I would say upper half to middle.
Yeah.
Okay.
I looked
Yep.
Yeah.
around to the left and right of me, and nobody else was near me.
Okay.
So
Yeah. But yeah, you were never really because I was watching and I was like, "Oh, she's good." Because I remember watching and you, like, got it, and then we were just kinda checking out everybody, seeing where everybody was, if they were, done, and then we all congregated around Aggie, of course, we'll get to that. But,
right.
uh, Tori, they gave us the option of safety goggles or not. You wore your safety goggles, didn't you? Or
Did
did you
I?
not?
I forgot about that.
Because I
Or
felt like
did you
I
wear
looked over it.
glasses?
No, I
Okay.
didn't. I
Okay.
specifically didn't because I didn't want anything blocking my vision in any
Yeah.
way,
Yeah.
shape, or form. I wanted that eye on the prize. I didn't want any other contributing factors, just in case, gave
We
me bad.
We should look back at the UK version to see if most of them wore their safety goggles, because then there we are, crazy Americans. "Oh, no, we don't need those things." And then we got got 'em
I
blasting
didn't
in our
wear
eyes
mine, but you
and
were completely right. That was an aspect of the game that I'd forgotten about, that we
yeah.
had the option to wear them.
And
I
since
didn't
we
wear
were so far, just to back up Fox, since we were so far away from the balloons, they felt that we could wear it or we could not wear it.
Mhm.
yeah.
So and we were pretty far away from the balloons. It was probably a little bit over 10 feet at least because I counted it off with my size 11. So
Yeah.
It was far, and then the refs were standing kinda behind our balloons from what I remember. There were
Yes.
a
yeah,
few times I hit the ref.
Yeah, I think I saw a few people do that. I was like, "Oh, wow."
I think they
Well,
wore goggles. They wore
They
goggles.
should.
it
I think they wore goggles.
and
Yeah.
Fox was always trying to keep us as safe as possible too. I mean, just in every challenge with, like, safety protocol that we had, and we were given I don't think anybody talked about this, but, Aggie, you brought this up that in the promo, you see Jackie going like this, don't you? Didn't
Mhm.
she do the sign? And for us, that
Yes.
was, our safe word what do they
That
call it?
was
Like, our
the pineapple, but we'll get to that in 1 second because
yes.
I still wanna hear when you got yours done, and then Julian, when you got yours done.
Well, yeah, I was just saying, but Fox just tried to take care of us. They really were really good about, keeping us, safe and, they didn't wanna be in trouble if something happened. I did not wear the goggles, but I noticed after I got my balloon, um, off its stand, when I was over by you, Aggie, they show a shot of me over by Julie, and I was whispering some stuff, we'll talk about that later, but I could see the line still on my forehead, and I'm like, "I didn't wear those goggles. Why do I have a line?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that was from the blind band challenge when we had to wear the blindfolds. I still had a line on my head, and I think it's because 'cause I was so dehydrated. I was like,
Like,
"Wow, that is
Wow.
really bad." I'm glad I didn't get
And they
a
were really
close up.
tight. They were tight.
Yes. Well, and 2, the older you are, you lose elasticity in your skin, and I was like, "Oh, brother," But yeah, I got it, like, on the 2nd try, and, I was so worried about, being disqualified on anything. Because if I really wasn't worried about that, I would have knocked yours off first, Tori, then mine. But that
I
challenge
know.
was made for me, had my moment, and it was over, and it was never shown, but you know what? You guys were there. That's all that
I was
matters.
amazed, Danny, because you got it out, I think you said, yeah, on your 2nd try, so you had to be one of the very first few people, if not the first, to complete the challenge. That's incredible.
Yeah, I think I was 3rd, but, yeah, you never know how long it takes somebody to walk back to the safe zone, but, it was fun. I thought it was fun. But that's mine. Julian, you talk about yours. Excuse me.
mean, I hit it a couple of times. It wasn't knocking off. I was starting to get pretty annoyed that it wasn't coming off the stand. And then I finally hit it and it, I hit it and knocked off and the referee thought that it actually just the wind took it or something
Mm.
like that. And I was like, "No, look at the tape." So he looked at the tape and it was good to go. And I was like, "All right, there we go." And that's when I did my little bow. You saw. So it was pretty, cut and dry like that. But it did take me a while. I don't know who was right next to me, but they got theirs done really quickly. And I was going for a little bit longer than what I would have wanted to because I did hit it a few times and I did get frustrated because I knew that if I got frustrated right there and then knocked and it didn't knock off the stand, I can only imagine how Aggie's going to feel because, she didn't goof around like I did in study hall and play with rubber bands, when I was a kid. I used to do that. So I
Yeah,
said,
me
"Hey,
too.
this
Me
is
too.
this is
I'm right
game
there
over
with
for
you.
me. I'm gonna make sure
That
I get through this."
Julian, that challenge was made for us that were a little mischievous, right? Like that was
Absolutely.
our moment, okay?
Absolutely.
And
That's
we were in the
funny.
hallway while we were waiting. I was using my hair tie to, like, hit, like, the sign just to practice because I didn't know how to do this, so I was just trying to hit it, and I
She
was
was good in
hitting it.
school.
Yeah, well, I did get detention quite a bit. I had my moments, but I was hitting it. I was hitting the sign. So I was like, "Oh, it's not gonna be bad. Like, I'll be fine."
Yeah.
And so I did hit it a few times, and
Yeah,
I
you did.
switched from those orange bands to the blue ones because they were thicker. And so when I would hit it, it would just sway a little bit, but it wasn't knocking over, and I was getting so pissed. And I was like, "Okay, if I start getting mad and I start, like, having any type
It's
of, like,
determined.
emotion, this is not gonna work, so I just need to calm down." You say she's getting determined.
Yeah,
Yes,
she's
I
getting
was.
determined, not mad. You could see it in her too, boy. She was like,
I was like, "I just gotta," and I was just on the ground sloppy, just on the ground, getting all those rubber bands. I was just like a hot mess, hair everywhere, but
yes,
I was
and
just trying to.
they didn't show there was one time because I remember after that was done, I was laughing because there was one time you looked around at Julian and your hair was all like a mess, and you said something to him, and I don't it wasn't, "Julian, do I have time?" It may have been something like that. I don't remember what it was, but yes, your hair was a mess, and you were asking him something, and we're like, "Just focus." Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
was all over the place when it was like bobbing for rubber bands, like, just they were all over the ground, and I was just trying to grab them and just keep hitting them in all angles, and then I remember Tommy was like, "Hey, hey, straighten out your thumb," and I was like, "I'm double jointed." He's like,
Yeah. Oh.
"Straighten it," and
Oh,
I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna
wow.
try. I'm gonna try," and then I remember Jen told me to do it like this. And then once I started doing that, I started hitting it a little bit
Yeah.
more accurate. And then
Well,
all of a sudden, you hear the pineapple. You hear stop, stop, stop. And at that point, I'm drenched in sweat. So it was a good time to take a break. And I remember Molly, who's one of our producers in welfare. We all love Molly. Hey,
yes. Shout out
Molly.
to Molly. Hey.
She comes over with my water bottle, and I just remember I was just standing there, and I just started to sway a little bit, and I remember, Tori, I started looking at you and you're like, dead in your eyes, and it was almost like, "Blink twice if you need help," and I was just, like, looking at you, like, dead in the eyes, and then Molly's like, "Hey, do you wanna go outside and get some air?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go outside." So I'm walking down, I'm like, "You know what? Get me Julian. Get me Julian right now." So we're, like, walking out, I'm, like, a little stumbly, and then I'm out there, and then the medic's, like, feeling me, and he's like, "Yeah, you need ice." So then they just start, like, putting all this ice on me, and Julian's out there, here comes Julian, like, "What's going on? What do you need? Where's the water? Da da da, da 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 da." And I'm just sitting there, and, like, ice is, like, all over me, like, and they're making me drink all this water, and I was just super dehydrated, and, I mean, I was heating up because it was just so hot.
Well, and
Was
you're
that
So
proves how hot it was because you needed ice and your fingers were probably hurting so bad that that break was really
That's
Yes,
great.
Well,
muscles were cramping, and
and you're
Jackie's
not
out there
drinking.
too.
You're not drinking like
Yeah.
Yeah.
normal, like we said too. So that there's that. If you had been hydrated like you normally would, it maybe not have been a problem. And I think that that one
Yeah.
might have been later in the day too. But anyway,
Yeah.
That was our last, competition of the day, right? I think that was the last one of the
it was
day.
later in the
Yeah.
day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And you said it was, like, the hotter than a
Yeah.
wrestling room.
Yeah, it was definitely hotter than any wrestling room that I had been in. But, when you shut off the fans and you need to shut off the fans so the balloons aren't flying around, it makes total sense. You can't have those balloons flying around like that.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
at the same time, if the next thing that's gonna happen is everybody's gonna start sweating like crazy. It's gonna start getting hot, especially with so many people in that room, and you have the lamps and the lights everywhere, and it gets pretty intense. And so ultimately, Jackie called for pineapples. She said, "Hey, I need a little bit of time," and she was overheating quite a bit. And
Yeah. We were both out there we were just trying to get it
I had
together.
no idea what was going on with her because I'm so focused on you, and I knew she was on the opposite side. Well, so I didn't
Mhm.
know what was going on, so then when all that happened, I'm like, "Okay, what's going on?" And then, when I figured out that it was her who needed it, and I'm like, "Okay, this is actually good," so, Aggie's gonna get a chance to, like, regroup, and I really wasn't that worried when you came back, just knowing how determined you are. I was like, "Okay, she's gonna be fine." I mean, you had us on the edge of our seats again, but,
Yes.
but that's like you said, how hot it was, and then again, you're just angsty, right? Because, gosh, I'm in the bottom, and there's so all that adrenaline's just coming so hard too, so there's just so much, surrounding you in that moment that it can just overwhelm you easily.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
and
I didn't think I needed a break because I was like, "No, I'm good. I'm
Yeah,
fine." And they're like,
yeah, your
Maybe
adrenaline.
you're gonna go outside." I'm like, "Hmm."
And the thing is, as a
And
wrestler, I know when you stop like that and
Yes.
you're going
Yes.
you're gonna be in more in
Yep,
that shock mode than if you would've just kept going and
yep,
powering through it.
yep,
So
mm,
everything
once you
starts to
stop,
shut
your
down.
body just shuts down
Yes.
completely.
Yep.
And big shout out to, Ken and Aaron. They did, check on the both of them, and I was in the back at that time. They were just,
that was the
checking on
second
them.
time.
Yeah, yeah, the second time. Oh
Time.
my goodness, yeah. So they both
Yeah.
checked on them and said, "How you doing?" And, "Hope you're doing better," as they were walking by to go to their trailer for a little bit.
That's
Um, so that was really awesome. Yeah.
Mhm.
okay, how long
That was
was
after the competition.
Oh, well, yeah, that was during though too. It was
Huh?
during the competition as
yeah.
well. So,
Yeah,
Sorry.
little that she knows, during the
I was gonna say,
competition,
Aggie, you were a
they
little out of it, sister.
she
You
was
were a
a
little bit
little
out of
out of
it.
it at the time.
Well,
But they
okay,
did,
so
check on
how long did you guys think that break was that you were back there?
it.
Beats me.
Break was probably about 15 minutes or so. She told me that she was gonna keep going.
Right, yeah.
And that's the first thing when I went back there, I was like, "Are you okay? Are you gonna be able to finish this? Do we need to call it a wrap?" It's just a game at the end of the day. Your
Uh-huh.
well-being, your life is more important than, a game and $1,000,000. Who are you gonna be able to spend the $1,000,000 if life
One
is
Yeah,
thing's
not
for
you're
there?
not
sure,
there.
So,
Yeah.
but she was all for it. She said, "Let's go, let's keep going." So
I was like, "Yes." That's one thing I remember. I was like, "I'm good.
Well,
I'm good to go now." They're like, "Hey, hey,
yeah.
hey,
Yeah, okay,
you gotta
okay.
wait a little second. You gotta wait."
Well,
And I was
did
like,
you
"Alright, well, I'm good to go." They're like, "We'll
did you
finish
s
this water, wait 5
did
minutes."
did you see Jackie at all while you were out there? Were you guys
Yeah, we
close
were
to each
both
other?
out there. Yeah.
Okay. What was going on with her at the same time? Did she seem fine, or was
she
she, like,
was
laid
in the
out?
same she was in the same situation.
Okay.
Was kinda
We
out of
we
it.
were
You both
we were
were.
both going down.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it was just getting dehydrated
Yeah.
like that a little bit there.
When you came back in, because Jackie was the one who called for pineapple. They take you guys
Mhm.
out, but then you come back in, and so, we didn't see you guys out there, so I'm thinking, you're totally fine when you come back, and thought she was really gonna struggle, so I thought, "Oh, this is an advantage for you, Aggie," right? And then poor Jackie, when we started up, uh, she was actually really close. I don't know if you remember watching that, Julian, at all, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, she was hitting the balloon right away." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh my gosh." And then she started getting frustrated again. I can't remember if she started crying then or it was before they took the break, but, and I remember we were just locked in on Aggie, and what made me frustrated was everybody starts yelling. They all wanna help. Everybody wants to help, and I kept telling everyone to be quiet, let Julian coach Aggie through it, and you can see me whisper to Julian, I said, "Tell her to aim lower." I don't know if you remember that, like, there was a bar or something, a couple of them low because you kept kinda overshooting it a little bit, and I just felt like, because she could really hear your voice, she just needed to hear one voice in there, but I started to get a little nervous because Jackie, I mean, I, love Jackie, but I was like, "Aggie's my girl," and I get a little nervous because she was hitting the balloon, and I'm looking back, and I'm looking forward, I'm looking back and forward, I was like, "Oh gosh."
We were
Yeah.
very scared for you, Aggie, because
I
we
didn't
at the
know
end,
she was
you don't know
hitting
what's
it.
gonna happen, you're in the bottom 2 again, but at
Yeah.
least you
That's
know
scary.
the first time, and we knew that you could do it again, and I remember we all were holding our hands in a straight line while we were watching with Julian in front of us,
Yeah.
just almost kind of like, in a way, saying a little prayer for you,
Yeah.
that
Yes.
well,
Oh
Yeah.
with
my gosh, I'm getting like
Oh,
chills.
your win.
Yeah.
I
Aggie,
remember before I started again, G was like, "You already hit it."
love her. Happy birthday, by the way, G. She's had a birthday.
Yeah.
But no, I was watching and I would hear the crowd roar behind us of the group that was over there with
Yeah.
her, and I'm like with Jackie, and I was like, "Okay, oh gosh, oh gosh." And then I don't know, if she hit it several times, whatever. I just saw the couple and I was stressed out. And then when you got that, it was like the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl, right? The last second with the Hail Mary. I mean, that's how I felt. Oh, man, was it just so exciting to see that I mean, how did the 2 of you feel? Because I mean, Julian, you're tense watching your wife, and then Aggie, you're, so frustrated with that dang balloon, like, what did that moment feel like when you finally knocked it off its stand?
I just felt like, "Ugh, what a relief. I did that.
I was
Shit.
gonna say, you had to be like, "I'm a
I did
badass."
that."
Yes, you did.
Like, when he was coaching me, he's like, "Again." Like, when I was watching that, it just that felt like, "Oh my gosh, I felt like you were my coach, like, for real, like, again,
Julian, you've been
again."
a competitive wrestler, like, we're talking, y'all,
I
highest
felt like
level,
he
like,
coached, like,
Julian's
the national champion,
Yeah,
like a
Julian's a
real
badass,
one.
all right? And, like, did
Well,
it did it compare to that? Or are you just kinda laughing at all these games like Ronald, the firefighter? He's like, "Yeah, I've saved lives." Like, or was it as intense? Did it bring back those feelings?
it really did. I will say this, being able to do it with my wife and actually coach her through certain situations, it brought back the times that I did coach at a competitive stage, as if that's at a senior level, coaching one of my buddies, or coaching college like I did in Nebraska at one point in time, coaching little kids. There's just certain things that just gives you, there's certain moments where you're just like, that was the best coaching moment that I had, and that was one of those times. Was that moment was like, okay, I couldn't do anything for her. I couldn't help her out. The strategy that I was giving her didn't work. So I had to look back and ask for help. And sometimes you have to do that as a coach. You have to be
Yeah,
humble and be like, hey, who else is going to be able to, what else the strategy is better?
right.
And at that time, it was like, okay, Jen's strategy actually was a lot better than my strategy. And what I did, she couldn't do. So, what can I do to help her take it to the next level? And at the end of the day, I can't do anything.
Yeah,
She has to
yeah.
do it.
Just to do it,
She
yeah.
has to actually hit the balloon. I
You guys
can't do anything. I can say everything I want, but she has to actually complete it.
you guys only been married, what, a month before you came on the show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Was it even that?
so yeah, no, it was about that. It was a
It
little over a
was
month,
a
about a month and a
little,
half or so. But
yeah,
I mean,
barely.
that's about it. And so
Mm.
what a way
That's
to
a
tell
big
your kid a
milestone.
story. What a story to tell your kids, someday. That like,
I
yeah, you
know.
know what
You
we
can
did on our
show your
honeymoon?
kids.
Listen, little J&As.
what'd you say, Tori?
I said you can show your kids that one day. That's
Yes.
what's
Yeah,
so cool
Yeah.
about
yeah.
on a show, like, we have these clips that will forever be memories that we can
Yeah.
just put on and watch.
It's
To
pretty
Yeah.
show our
cool.
future
Mhm.
families.
I felt
Yeah.
so good in that moment when I hit that balloon and, like, just how you coached me through that and how everybody was there. You guys were there for me. It
Yeah.
was just like I still get chills, like, even when I watch that, and then I get just, like, a little emotional too, because it was a really good feeling. I was really
Really
proud of myself.
It
You should
really
be.
is like the last second three-point shot, right? To win a national championship in college
Yeah.
basketball, a
Yeah.
Hail
Yeah.
Mary in football, right? It's hitting that home run that's wins the game for you. Like, truly, it was that moment. As a sports fan, I felt like that was that kind of moment, and it was so exciting. It's so much fun to watch you finally get that and have that moment. It was great, but I have to be honest, um something that soured the moment a little bit for me was once all of us were hugging and celebrating, well, before we were all hugging and celebrating, all of a sudden King David just throws himself into the celebration before he even knocks Julian out of the way. And I'm like, wait, where did you come from? And has you even had a conversation with Aggie? I'm not sure you have, but
I think he was just happy to be there.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Everyone was just watching the moment and
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
like, that was crazy.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
I remember all of us holding hands, and then it was so cool when you got through that we were jumping up and down, our arms all
Yeah.
around each other. It really did feel like it was the final shot in the game and you won, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
we were just cheering as a big team and celebrating. It was so cool.
Like,
One of the best
everybody just the support and, like, "You got this, Aggie," like, "You
Yeah.
got this," and that's why I always say never give up on the commitments that you make to yourself. Like, I've always had that little saying up in my room, and I will never say can't. If you tell yourself you can't in that moment, then you won't.
It's so
So
true.
you just always have to say that you can, and you will finish it. And it's funny because after that moment when I did it, and, of course, I was like, "Okay, so how's my hair?"
Yeah.
Of
The
course, and it
important
was just,
the
sloppy.
important things, right? The
The
important
Right,
things.
important
the
thing.
Our
important
hair.
things, and
My
then they
eyelashes
pulled me
good, my makeup running.
lashes with taking flight because they
Yeah.
were just melting off my face,
Oh
and
my gosh.
they pulled me away for an interview, and of course, like you said, like, when you stop in that moment, you stop, and your body goes into shock, and then it happened again where I was like, you know, "Blink if you need help," and so I was, like, about to do my interview, and I was like, "So," and I was like and they're like, "You need help?" And I was like, "Merrick, take me outside." And so I remember him, like, grabbing me and just taking me to the nearest door, and I was like, "Can you get me Julian?" Like, my eyes were literally closed, I don't even know what door I went out of, and I'm like, "Bless you," and I'm just sitting outside, and then Julian comes, and then, it was actually next to Aaron and Ken's trailer because then they come outside, and they're like, "You did amazing, like, good job," and I'm like, "Thank you," and, hair's all just all over the place, and I'm just like, "Thank you," and Medic's out there with, like, ice, and I'm just like, "Oh, they're so nice," and I
They're
just,
Yeah.
the
like just
best,
look like a
and they
hot
were
mess.
rooting on for you too. I mean, you could even see it
Yes,
in the
was just
They
gonna
had
say
so
that,
much
Tori.
commentary about you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was really cool. What did he say? Something or she said, "Oh, I know you wanna see her run into the arms of Julian," or something like that at
Well,
the
I
end
think
of
that
that
was for the
challenge.
nuts.
That
The
was the
nut
nut
stacker, right?
stacker? Oh,
Nuts.
okay.
Okay.
And
Yes,
Yeah.
hearing
but he
All
did
culture
running
say it was,
together
like,
now.
the most dramatic end to 99 to beat
Yeah.
because
yeah,
I fought off double
I
and he
mean,
was
Oh
even
my
elimination.
god.
hitting
double
his
elimination.
hand on the table too, saying he was so passionate saying it.
I
And also a little side note too, I got so many messages when the episode was airing that they were like, "Oh, I hope Aggie gets it, like, she's getting me first
Aw.
you had me nervous,
Oh,
now Aggie I wanted," and these were people that didn't even know that we were a group of friends, that we were each other's best friends in the show,
Yeah,
so that
that's
was
cool.
really cool.
Oh,
I had a
yeah.
video that was sent to me by a fan watching the show of their entire classroom watching the game, and
Oh
he had
my
said
gosh.
that he's cheering on Aggie too, him and his entire class, so it's just really cool to hear that feedback.
and you got a
Aw.
chance to watch it with your classroom, right?
Not with my classroom, I
Or
posted a video online. That was the video that was sent to me from a
oh,
school out in Chicago, and
yeah.
I
Wow.
I I didn't know the teacher or anything, and I sent him a video to send to the class saying, "I appreciate it. Thank you for cheering me on and supporting us and watching
What?
90 and he sent back a video of his entire classroom watching the t-shirt challenge and screaming and cheering when I got the shirt. And then he sent a message saying my entire classroom was also cheering and rooting on for Aggie too, without him even
Oh, that's cool.
connected.
I alr Tori, I already told Aggie and Julian this, but my boys were like when Aggie was in the bottom again, the first thing, they go, "Okay, Aggie." And then they'd be like, "Aggie." I mean, they're just like, "Come on." I mean, because 'cause they've become such fans of them. But speaking of classrooms, Tori, I think we all need to have Luigi on, and I wonder, like, what his class thinks of all of this with him on it. I think that'd be fun to talk about.
That would be so fun. I cannot wait for the world to see him
Oh my
shine.
goodness.
He
I know,
deserves it.
I
Me
know, I can't
too.
wait.
I'm
Yeah.
sure we'll see some of him soon.
Well, before we wrap up, Aggie, is there anything else that you and Julia and you guys wanna talk about with that we skipped out on the rubber band challenge? Because, we gotta move on to episode 3 of 99 to Beat later on here this week.
Ooh.
Ooh,
Or
I
Tori,
don't think
there's anything we
so.
missed?
Do anything we missed, Tori?
Nope.
I think we covered pretty much everything, like just our what was going on in our minds and how intense these challenges were. But at the end, our entire squad made it another episode.
Whoop,
Yep.
whoop,
Yeah.
whoop.
Well, Tori, where can we find you?
So you can follow me on Instagram. That's where I'm most active. It's tori.b as in Brooke .hoffman. And I post a lot of different clips from the show and behind the scenes stuff. So feel free to check it out, everybody. You'll see a lot of pictures of all of us together on my page.
And Tori,
Ooh.
if opportunity arises for something else, you're all willing, right? Would you go back and do 99 to Beat again if they asked?
Would do it again in a
Me
heartbeat.
too.
I mean, you have a 1 in 100% chance of becoming a millionaire, and then as people get eliminated, your chance increases more and more, and I always say the chances are way higher of that than winning the lottery, and you have to
Yeah.
be in it to win it. It was the best experience of my life, better than Beast Games. Even my husband kinda has FOMO as he's watching the episodes, and he's seeing beer
Can't wait to meet
party
him.
and FaceTiming one another, and he's like, "Oh, I wish I applied with you. I would have loved that." He didn't, unfortunately, because with his job, it's very demanding. He has to be in the office in the city, but he even wishes he had that opportunity. So hopefully they air for a season 2 of 99 to Beat, and I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of applicants. I think there were about 50,000 for season 1.
Wow.
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 Yeah.
It's
Wow.
crazy. So,
Wow.
well, thank you so much for coming on with us
Of
today.
course.
Well,
Alright.
thank you everybody for joining. Tori, thank you so much for being on. This is another episode of Beyond the Edit. We'll see you guys next week.
Episode 3.
Bye.